everyone, welcome to today's podcast. I'm Celine.
I'm Petrina.
Yeah, I'm here today with my guest, and today we're going to be talking about moving abroad. So, Petrina, where are you from?
Yes, well, I'm from the States, from the East Coast, from DC, but I used to live in Hong Kong, Australia, and now I'm here in London.
Yeah, so we both moved from overseas. I'm from Singapore. And so today we're going to do an episode called The Truth About Moving Abroad. And it sounds like an expose. But it's not meant to be an expose. It's just that moving to another country, a lot of people think that it's always very fun and it's very glamorous. But actually, there are a lot of negative sides as well to moving abroad. So I thought today would be interesting to just talk about some of these things. So, what do you think are some things people should be prepared for?
Yeah, well, I feel like if you're moving to somewhere for, a new country that you don't really know anyone, like I didn't really know anyone in London before I moved here, I think it's important to be aware that, making friends can be hard. And especially if you aren't moving for, I think I moved here for a master's program, like Celine, so it was easier, I think, to have people who are there of similar interests, but I don't know how people who move here for work just immediately start making friends because
I think
it's
that's very difficult. Yeah, that's one of the things that I always worry about is because I guess for London specifically is not so bad because there are a lot of people moving in and out of the country all the time. So people here are quite used to having to make new friends. Yeah. But if you move to a country, I'm just going to say like Singapore, even though there are a lot of people moving in and out of Singapore, it's not the same rate as here. So people, I would say locals especially, we have friend groups. So like for me, I grew up my entire life in Singapore. I have friends that I grew up with and I've known them for years and years. So I would think someone who, let's say you just moved into the country, it might be difficult for you to assimilate into these type of friend groups, especially when it's been so long.
Yeah, I think especially, it depends on where you're moving from and where you're going, but the culture differences can be a barrier sometimes. I mean, I think for me it was probably easier because, I was moving from like US to UK, but when you moved here, was there like any kind of big surprise that you, I don't know?
I think for us we were okay because language-wise it's the
same. Yeah.
Again, I cannot imagine moving to another country where you don't speak the language every day. Yeah. So even I think for me, I can speak Chinese, but I cannot imagine living in any Chinese-speaking country long term because I can't speak at the same level that the locals can. Yeah. So then you end up with like, you don't get their jokes. There's certain nuances in the language you won't get. Yeah. And I definitely will not be able to work and study in Chinese here. No. I'll be like, people can ask me something, I'll be like, yes. You are right. Yeah, but that's one of the things. Other than that, for me it's the same thing because I didn't know. I have friends here because a lot of Singaporeans come here. Yeah. But, I've no relatives here, so when I get into trouble, it's a bit difficult to solve, especially because I always think, you always think like, oh, you're actually a foreigner, and some of the things you don't dare to do because I'm not saying anything illegal. Of course, don't do anything illegal, but you have to think about like your visa. Yeah. You think about like the time period that you're gonna be here. You're a foreigner versus a local. It's just all these type of things that maybe people are not very aware of. And I think in a lot of countries, foreigners are just not treated the same as locals in terms of protection from the law. Yeah. I feel that in a certain ways. Yeah, like, for example, I think after I finished my program and I was looking for jobs, like, even though I had the graduate route visa option, which I was very thankful for, during the job process, I just felt like, I'd get to the interview phase and then they'd be like, oh, wait, it's like, you need sponsorship? Like, after 2 years, I'm like, can't really stay here. And then, I felt like, when I'm looking for jobs now, they will ask you what is your visa.
Yeah.
So it's not, you don't even get to the interview phase before they find out that you are that you need a sponsorship. So I think that's one of the things. So yeah, I think on the surface it looks very fun. It looks very fun, but I think the loneliness, like the first thing you mentioned, is the loneliness. Sometimes it gets a lot. Being away from your family and your circle of friends, and like you said, when you move in, and then you're like trying to make close friends. Because it's very easy to make acquaintances, but after like okay, so both of us met in church, but and in church they always the start you'll be like, oh, speak to someone you know sitting next to you, but beyond that, beyond the initial introduction, it kind of get like a bit awkward. I would say in London it's not bad. London it's not bad, but I would say a lot of other places you start to get stuck. So then you have to be very active in very like
like reaching out. Like you really have to put effort,
a lot of effort
into
so you can't it takes it's actually I remember when I came here I was actually feeling very tired of constantly meeting people because I mean I don't do that back home. So I was like, I don't want to go for any more social events.
I know.
I'm tired.
It kind of makes you wonder. It's like, how did I have friends in the first place?
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
So that was like the start. Oh yeah. I remember one thing that I wanted to mention about moving abroad, and that is I feel like when I moved abroad, I missed out on a lot of things that happened back home, which is...
That's true.
So, one was my friend's ROM. She got married. She went to register a marriage. My best friend, I missed that. And then my grandma died. And obviously, I wish I could have been there, but it was during my assessment period as well. So, I couldn't fly back unless I wanted to repeat my entire... I wanted to repeat my entire year here. So, it ended up being... Lucky for technology, but it ended up being very painful to be away from my family and mourning my grandma's death, actually. Luckily Sam is here. I was really very upset when she died. So, it's just one of the things to consider. I think my other grandparents are also like growing old and you know, I don't know how long they're going to be here. So, being far away, you know, you only have that limited amount of time. So, another thing is money. Yeah, I don't think when you're calculating the cost for how much it costs to move over, it's always like a grossly underestimated figure.
Yes.
Because once you come here, one thing I really, really, really hate about the UK is there are no aircons. No aircons and no fans. Both of us, we're both dying right now. But it's like in the middle of, it's not even like the middle of summer. It's been like this for quite some time already. So I don't know, is it like in the past UK used to be very cooling? Maybe
last summer was fine. Last summer we only had like maybe 2 or 3 hot days where I had to sleep with the fan on, but lately it's been like the whole week I needed the fan.
But so things like
bad.
We didn't expect that coming here we needed to buy multiple fans. If you're gonna live here long term, if I was gonna live here, if I tell myself I'm gonna live here more than 2 years, I will buy an aircon.
Air conditioning.
It's really too hot. So it's this kind of unexpected cost and the prices. So I just moved here in September last year, and during this time there was a war. And then there are what was the other thing that caused all the prices to go crazy? Mainly it was the
I think
war.
it was tied to like supply. So Brexit earlier. I think there was some like food issue.
I'm not sure, but so all these kind of things like we didn't think about before. So and earning money here is hard.
Well, it's funny because when I first moved here, it was during lockdown. And then I was like, I'm like spending zero money. It's because I was just staying at home because there was nowhere to go. But then when like things started to open back up, and then I could see like the friends that I've made online over Zoom because classes are still remote, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much money.
London
but
is
yeah,
expensive.
it's
London is
expensive.
very
It's
expensive.
expensive. Yeah.
And the salary can't match. So
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Yeah.
I think moving abroad is fun if you can afford it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I have friends who move abroad and it's very painful because like a lot of unexpected circumstances, like there was massive increase in prices. It's hard to find jobs because of everything that's going on. It becomes very stressful to live overseas because you're like, oh shit, my rent is going crazy, everything is going crazy, and I'm like, okay, oh shit, so what do I do now? So actually my friend, poor guy, he's been looking for a job for a really long time, but he decided to move back to Singapore, so he's going to leave in September. So that's the situation of moving overseas, I guess. And so, okay, what do you miss about home?
I mean, yeah, I haven't been back to the States in the 2 years since I've been here, so I think I miss some of my friends that I haven't seen, like extended family. But yeah, I also just miss like really small things, like having a car.
That's not a small thing.
I mean, I think I miss it for small reasons, like carrying groceries. I don't
carrying groceries.
Oh, well, I mean, like when I first moved here, I was like, my shoulders hurt all the time, and I realized it because I was carrying all my stuff around that normally I just keep in my car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I miss about Singapore is the food prices.
Yeah.
I miss.
Yeah.
But apart from like more materialistic things, of course, I just miss being around my friends and my family, because I didn't realize last time how much I see them. So suddenly I'm like, I feel very isolated from them after coming here. But it's a good thing at least I have friends here, so I'm starting to be like, okay,
it's not so bad.
It's not so bad, but that's just the small things. Like recently was National Day in Singapore, and I just went back to Singapore last month. I think when I was in Singapore, I was like, "Wait, do you want to go back?" Because I remember how much fun. It's very funny. Okay, well, when I was in Singapore, it was the height of the pandemic, right? All the lockdowns, all the masks. Okay, and Singapore now still has stupid mask rules. All social distancing, all that kind of crap. I hated it. I couldn't wait to move out of Singapore, and I am so thankful that I moved to London. I'm very, very thankful that I moved to London. I enjoyed my freedom immensely. So, but the thing is, by the time I went back, a lot of the rules, apart from the mask, was lifted. So then it started to. I remember what the life was like before pandemic, and how happy those times were. That's why I guess it's all the like what you say, it's all the small things, like going out with my dog, or like eating something for like $3. Those are the things that I miss. So how do you cope from being away from home?
Well, I think I got lucky because my mom and my sister came with me when I first moved to London, and then we spent lockdown together. But I think when they went back to the States and it was just me, I think I coped by just trying to like do something outside whenever I could. So I was still in class at the time, like over Zoom, but then I just go like on little bike rides to Hyde Park. A lot of solo activities, a lot of like cafes, bakeries, and just eat by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you would. I don't know, because I imagine if I came here with my fiance, so I'm never alone. But but I feel like when I wanted to cope with it, I would call my friends. And as hard as it was, it's just really to make new friends.
It was difficult because it was still like the lockdown. You couldn't. They still had like rules of 6, and also
here.
This was like 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Okay. One of those years. So I just had. I mean, I knew my cousin in Dulwich, and then went to visit them. But
Actually, you do have relatives here.
I do. But yeah.
Okay, that's not so bad. Yeah.
One cousin.
I think for people who are really like alone here,
It's difficult.
what I would suggest, right, for people who are here alone, especially students, is just to stay in student accommodation.
Oh yeah.
Then you will never feel alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all in the same situation, so you know you always have people if you want to talk to. For a lot of other people, you either have like flat shares or you rent a whole house by yourself, and that's when you feel kind of isolated.
Yeah, and if you're living with other students, it's like people who are maybe from other places.
Yeah, so it's actually much more fun.
Yeah.
So let's end off on a positive note. And what are the things that you really like about moving away from home? What are the very positive parts?
Yeah, I think it's getting to meet like new different people who have a lot like different experiences than you, and also I just really like London. It's, I like that it's a really big city. I think that in US you could meet a lot of people from everywhere. You can. Yeah, I feel like DC, where I lived before, was also similar, where you have a lot of people that are just living there for a few years and then they move out, but then like other people move in. But yeah, I think I just really like how big London is.
Oh, you mean DC is not as big as London?
No, it's so small.
We thought US was bigger.
Oh, I mean, yeah, US is bigger, but DC itself is like tiny. Yeah.
One day I'll go.
Yeah, one day.
So I think for me, what I like is I really enjoy. I've come to enjoy the independence actually. Being away from your friends and your family means that you actually have a lot of time. I think when I was in Singapore, I was always so busy. I'm like, okay, I have to go here, I have to go there, I'm meeting this person, meeting that person. And sometimes like with family, I will try and meet my grandparents maybe like every week. So it takes up a lot of my time. But obviously when I come here, I can't be visiting my grandparents. But yeah, so it is that. Then you have the independence of, you know, learning to do everything by yourself and exploring the new country. What I actually really like about moving abroad is that because I live here, I can take my time.
Yeah, that's true.
When you travel somewhere, like, if I was just here for a week, I'll be like, okay, looking at all the tourist spots, and then you're just from day to night you're going there. But actually being here and enjoying living here and enjoying like the weather, you know, some days it's the weather, not today, but some days sometimes like if the weather is really nice, then you just take like a stroll, you know, take your time instead of being like, okay, we have 10 minutes to look at this garden and we need to move on. So I think that's what I really like about moving abroad. Of course there's people that you meet different people from everywhere. I actually don't really meet that many people from different countries in Singapore. I think my circle is just... This is a thing, right? Like, Singaporeans tend to hang out by themselves, and the foreigners in Singapore tend to hang out in their own circles as well.
I think that's, like, similar in Hong Kong. Yeah.
I don't know if it's...
it's just an Asian thing.
I think it's like...
Or everywhere.
My friend said in Canada it's the same thing, so I'm not sure, but here it's not.
Yeah,
here they're quite open to mixing around.
Yeah.
So I don't know, for us that is the thing. For Singaporeans, usually the people we mix most with is Malaysians. And maybe like Chinese people, because there are a lot of them here, and they can speak the language, which is like a lot of times Chinese people in Singapore like to speak Chinese. So that's why. But what I think here everybody can speak English, so it's very fun. It's very fun to mix around. So here I've had more friends from different nationalities than I've ever had in my entire life, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. For anybody who is thinking of moving overseas, I actually really encourage. I think it's I think it's a good experience. Very good experience. Yeah, even if you don't like it, you can move back after 1 or 2 years. But just moving overseas, you learn so much about different places. So that's all for today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.